Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So today I got a very fun, very exciting, and for me personally, a very awesome video to bring you guys today. And that is because Belzerion, one of the biggest hidden gems on the 3DO, has now been translated completely into English and is playable from start to finish with a lot more understanding now that it's got English text. And when I say this game is a hidden gem, more so than any other I mentioned this year, I 100% mean it. Think of a mix of something like Policenauts and Snatcher put together with both a first-person adventure game as well as a first-person shooter. It's got visual novel elements, it's got adventure game elements, and it's got first-person shooter elements, and it works 100% perfectly amazing on the 3DO. And the best part is, this was developed by Human Entertainment, one of the strangest developers out there. They made games that were so incredibly unique and fun, and that felt like completely different experiences than anyone else was making. Things like Clock Tower, things like Septentrion, even stuff like Mizerna Falls on PlayStation 1, an amalgam of Twin Peaks brought to life as a video game. They are one of my favorite alternate developers out there, and honestly, this is just 100% the type of thing I love to see. And this is brought to you by SnowyAria, a name that if you follow 3DO translations might sound familiar. They brought us other projects, but honestly, Belzerion I think is going to be their masterclass work, that magnum opus of just bringing an incredible experience to fans. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. And I will also leave a link to the GitHub page where you can grab the patch for Belzerion and modify it yourself today, because trust me, if you take my word on one video this year of a game you've never played and probably never heard of before, make it this one. It is so much fun, it's got such a great storyline, especially now that it's in English, and it's one of the most inventive games of the generation, not just on 3DO, but I think on any console. And if you love Snatcher and Policenauts and the work of Hideo Kojima before the Metal Gear Solid era, this game is 100% just going to make you happy from the time you start it till the time you see the credits scroll, and that is a promise. But obviously, there's not like you're paying me any money, so the cashback guarantee is 0 on this one. So Belzerion is basically set up in chapters. You're going to get different elements of the story, and you're going to basically progress through the world. And it has so many fundamentally different gameplay styles. You're never doing one thing for that long, and I just love this little interstitial title here that just says engine. You're not quite sure what that means, but you will be figuring it out. And as we get into the next gameplay element in the game, this is inside of our apartment, and now we have that first-person point-and-click adventure-style gameplay. And this again is just so fun to see. Now this game actually got its life started on Macintosh computers, but was basically completely remade for the 3DO. And when I did a 3DO series about 2 years ago, I wanted to talk about this one, but it was really hard because obviously the story was only written out in translation via some text online, and it was very bad at that. But now I can definitely talk about this one and try to convince you to play it. This game has absolutely everything in my opinion, especially a soundtrack which I'll let you sample soon, but this game just fires on all cylinders. I love how it breaks up the overall gameplay, and you get these story beats where you really aren't at any risk whatsoever, because when you go into the first person shooter mode, that's when the gameplay really does start. But I love this sprite here as well, this guy in that blue hat with those sunglasses on, and basically we now have to go to a nuclear reactor and stop a rogue robot that basically went haywire and is trying to explode the entire reactor and take out a whole city right now. And even as we get into this vehicle here, all of these pre-rendered assets just scream mid-90s in all of the best ways possible, and that's why I think I love this game and Human Entertainment in general. They just have such a visual flair and distinct iconography as far as their games are concerned. It just brings me back to those mid-90s eras. And this AI right here that basically looks like a crash test dummy, before the translation you really wouldn't have much of an idea why he was here or what he was doing helping you on your mission, but now you 100% will understand everything. But it's soundtrack sample time, and I'm going to say this is straight up a 15 out of 10. Listen for 55 seconds, I'll be right back with a lot more. I mean, that music is just absolutely perfect for the setting of Belzerion, and honestly, I just love it. And if you think it sounds like Policenauts, it 100% does, but interestingly enough, the initial release of this game basically coincided with the release of Policenauts, so it just happens to be a coincidence that you have two futuristic games where you play as cops in visual novels with an anime aesthetic with a soundtrack that kind of sounds similar, because there's no way they could have copied something like Policenauts, because these games came out within a few months of each other, and that is why this game, again, just feels so unique. But as we get into the first-person shooter elements here, it's kind of an exploration dungeon crawler style game. It is all in real time. Those walls are made out of 3D, and sure, it has to load every once in a while, but you get free range of motion in here. When you actually go to the battle sequence, it's going to be a locked off first-person shooter. Almost feels like it could have been designed around the concept of a light gun, but you're not only going to be performing actual shooting combat, you're also going to do hand-to-hand combat. And for the era, I would say the controls in the combat absolutely just work perfectly. This is the type of thing on paper in this area you would think it would kind of feel clunky and a little bit too hard to control, but the responsiveness both in the controls as well as how the game actually sets itself up, it just 100% works. And again, I can't stress enough just how good of a translation this is and just how good of a translation SnowyAria actually makes. Everything is conversational, everything makes perfect sense. It's translated not literally, but basically trying to keep the intent of the game storyline there while also bring it over to an English audience, and it is just straight up gold as far as translation work is concerned. So as far as the actual combat hook is going, here you see that basically you have this aiming reticle and you can move it left and right, and the game is basically going to tell you be careful where you shoot, because if you shoot that wall behind you too much, you will blow up this nuclear reactor. And as the robot actually comes forward, you go into hand-to-hand combat, and depending on how you move the D-pad along with the punch button, you're going to throw a jab, a hook, or an uppercut. It just feels so good in controlling it. Everything is responsive, and if you beat the robot or die, it's going to be down to your timing and not because the game fought you. And that's something I absolutely love about this game, because there's prettier games probably. Space Hulk out there has amazing looking gigantic sprites, but there's something about the timing of the combat in that game that just 100% screws me up every single time. Here in Belzerion, it just works. And again, getting this story really is what makes this game that much more fun. Sure, the overall vibe and impression was there when it was in Japanese, and sure, you could kind of see the technical showcase of running this on 3DO, but you lost the entire story, and it is wild, it is wacky, it's got so many different twists and turns. This game becomes that much better when you actually know what the hell's going on, and honestly, that's basically like every game out there. And you even get some full motion video sequences here, obviously pre-rendered, that give you a little bit more of the story beat and even have some horror elements going on. Now, I am just showing you the beginning chapter and a half of this game because I absolutely want you to go in and play this and enjoy it yourself, because it is such a unique and special game. I don't want to spoil too much, so just take my word for it. If you're going to give a game a try this week, something maybe you've never seen before, you can do a lot worse than this one. We're going to go to the second soundtrack sample because, again, I can't stress enough, this music is just absolutely some of the best ever put to a 3DO game outside of Killing Time. So 45 seconds, and I'll be right back with just a little bit more. I just absolutely have no notes as far as the soundtrack is concerned, and even on the presentation front here, it's a little bit of an anime aesthetic, it's a little bit of a cyberpunk aesthetic. It has so many great sprites and backgrounds and overall gameplay concept. There really isn't anything about this game that I really could point to and say it really isn't for me. I love the mixture of FMV sequences of those point-and-click adventure game style parts, as well as obviously the first-person exploration and the first-person shooter combat. And that is the fun thing about a game like Belzerion. It just feels so new and so unique, even if it is decades old now, and that's what Human Entertainment always did. They made games that felt completely different than anything else on the market, and it's not like they were always 100% successful. Stuff like Septemtrion out of the blue on PlayStation 1, a lot of fun, but very clunky and very janky, but they just absolutely nailed the brief when it came to this game on 3DO. It has so many good components to it, everything runs well, and now thanks to SnowyAria and the rest of the translation team on this one, you're going to get the entire story in English motion, you're going to know exactly what's happening, and that is just going to drive the enjoyment that much more forward. So I know this probably won't be my most viewed video of the week, but it's the most exciting one I'm going to make, because if you know me and you know the channel, you know I love 3DO. This works on real hardware, it works on emulation, so play it however you want. Just do me the favor and play it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.